Are they going to produce the evidence to back up some of these claims, or is this part of a smear tactic before ultimately settling?
Actress Blake Lively and her actor husband Ryan Reynolds want to keep their messages with seemingly their A-list friends out of the hands of the public, and they're demanding better protections for everyone involved in this case, including witnesses.
When it first came out with the New York Times article, I believed that, yes, I believe in smear campaigns. I think I've been a victim of smear campaigns.
Sure, okay.
I understand how bots and hate pages work and fake conversations going on. So I kind of was like, oh, wow, this is juicy. I think maybe this did happen because he felt she fucked him over, and then he went and brought up weird interviews where she came off like an a-hole. So I did believe it. But I definitely am on team.
You know, Blake was threatening, months before the New York Times thing happened. Mm-hmm. She was constantly threatening different things. At one point she's threatening, I'm not going to promote this movie if I don't get my way on this. I will go to my friends at the New York Times. I will do these. She has a relationship with this writer, Megan Twohey, and the team behind this whole article. The metadata shows that they were working on it months before it actually came out. They took this civil complaint and they basically just printed all of Blake's stuff, the New York Times. The fact it hit Baldoni like what?
Hollywood is on fire with one of the biggest celebrity scandals of the year. Blake Lively, the A-list actress, fashion icon, and everyone's favorite Upper East Sider, is caught in a web of shocking allegations. And guess what? Her PR team is allegedly scrambling to erase all traces of damning evidence that could ruin her career forever.
Coming out with her amended complaint at first it was supposed to come out by Friday. They got an extension to Monday, but Monday is a federal holiday, so then they got an extension and it will be coming out on Tuesday. This amended complaint, allegedly, will be 300 pages long. They have, in our documents that we have, they're written. It's not just like hearsay, it's written, it's typed up, and that's why we're taking it seriously.
Yeah, they're formal documents that will be presented. And we believe that this is information that Blake Lively's team plans to release in her amended complaint on Tuesday.
Oh my God, I've talked about it too many times. There's so much evidence.
From secret cover-ups to whispers of blackmail and money laundering, this story has everything. Betrayal, power moves, and a mystery whistleblower who's blowing the lid off the whole thing. But hold on, are these allegations actually true, or is this just another Hollywood takedown? And what do other celebrities think about it? Stick around, because this scandal just keeps getting juicier by the second.
She sent a 17-point memo with conditions that must be met, or else she was not going to return to work. And it allowed her to change the protocol for things like filming nudes or intimate scenes or whatever, even though a lot of that had been preordained, and there's proof that he had already done a lot of this. But it was also kind of, green M&M writer type stuff, like no one must touch me or hug me like this. No physical touching of Lively, including hugging, or comments on her physical appearance except in connection with the character, not to Lively personally. So you must not say, I like that lipstick. You must not give her a hug. You must not shake her hand.
All right, let's start with the receipts. What exactly is Blake's PR team accused of scrubbing? According to multiple sources, the evidence includes leaked emails, text messages, and financial records linking her to some seriously shady activities.
The fact that he hired Brian Friedman, that he had recorded everything. Jamie Heath, he and his producing partner were so smart. When they saw this thing going south in the summertime, they began to record all the texts, the emails, saving them, putting them in a file, which made it very easy for Brian Friedman to put out 170 pages of every interaction. Sadly, she puts out this big thing in the New York Times that slams Baldoni, and Baldoni has backup receipts to show exactly each interaction, what actually happened, and it just kaboomed in her face. And then all of a sudden, and the whole cast, by the way, went with her. That guy Brandon Sklenar, who plays this, who's like the second leading guy in it after Baldoni, he puts out a link to that article and says, you've got to read this, and we've got to stand by women, and it's important to do this. A movie is a correction for men, and men feeling badly about ourselves. We shouldn't do. And then all of a sudden, oh God, he's got documentation on every one of these interactions, and it's not the way she said. And it kaboomed.
We're talking about allegations of money laundering, exploitation claims, and even whispers of blackmail. Now, I know what you're thinking. Blake Lively, the effortlessly glamorous, witty, and charming actress we all adore. Could she really be involved in something like this?
Lively's lawyers announced last week that they were serving some subpoenas on phone companies for a lot of phone information records from Justin Baldoni and his alleged quote-unquote co-conspirators. At first, it wasn't totally clear just how much this was, although Baldoni's lawyer Brian Friedman did respond publicly with a comment saying, essentially, that it was overbroad and a fishing expedition. Since then, the two parties have filed letters to the court over the issue, and after seeing the arguments fleshed out, we can see a bit better what's going on here.
Well, an alleged former employee of her PR team seems to think so. This insider, who's staying anonymous for obvious reasons, claims that they were ordered to erase any digital footprints that might connect Blake to these alleged crimes. And guess what? They kept receipts, screenshots, documents, the whole package. Of course, these allegations remain unverified, but that hasn't stopped social media from exploding with theories. Fans are in shock, while others believe that this is just another case of Hollywood damage control.
When Lively and Reynolds' efforts failed to win them the acclaim that they believed they were richly deserving of, they turned their fury on their chosen scapegoat, Justin. The lawsuit comes 2 weeks after Lively sued Baldoni and several others tied to the film, alleging that they retaliated against her for coming forward for her treatment on the set. That lawsuit came just hours after Baldoni sued the New York Times for libel, alleging the paper worked with Lively to smear him.
So, is Blake being unfairly targeted, or is there some truth behind these accusations? And why would her PR team go to such extreme lengths to cover it up? Let's dig even deeper.
Here, it talks about scoring $350 million at the global box office this summer, blah, blah, blah. And it's the best case scenario for her producerial debut, as she used the expansive press tour to push her budding businesses, sparkling soda company Betty Boo's, alcohol operation Betty Boo. Okay, I don't even know. This is in her hair care line, which we knew was really trifling because this was a movie about domestic violence and all of that. So this is what the article says now. And just so you know, they interviewed her for this, okay? She sat for an interview. So any of the backstory, any of the information that is in this article came from her or her people. This isn't like someone just made this up. It says that now, right? And it looks like it was changed. They didn't put that it was updated. Usually when an article's updated, they'll put that it's updated. But it looks like PR or someone went in and tried to change all of that once the whole lawsuit, once Justin Baldoni hit back with his lawsuit.
Hollywood PR teams are no joke. They are the real-life Olivia Popes, working behind the scenes to control narratives, shape public perception, and, if necessary, bury scandals before they see the light of day.
Look at what it said, okay, in this MSN1. Luring female audiences in droves with her rom-com blockbuster. This is a movie about domestic violence, is a rom-com now. And it ends with her directorial debut. Okay, directorial over there, debut. Another place they cannot scrub as well is when you go into forums. If people push these out, the bots ping this into different forums. They can't go in and scrub it from there. Or if somebody copies and pastes it into a forum, the actual article. But again, and I have several of these where this has been done, with her rom-com blockbuster again. And originally it was like that in the bolded. And then it says it ends with her directorial debut. Again, I want to say this to emphasize it. No one just wrote this up out of thin air. Okay, she was interviewed for this. Right? And we're not going to go into the whole connection between Ari Emanuel of WME as well as Endeavor and Penske Media Group and Silver Lake. A lot of people are wondering, well, how does Ari Emanuel own or has some ownership to the Hollywood Reporter?
According to the whistleblower, Blake's PR team was allegedly using sophisticated software to delete incriminating evidence, including old social media posts, emails, and even personal communications. And here's where it gets even messier. Some of these actions were reportedly carried out under Blake's direct orders.
Because the original article came out on December 4th. But what happens is, even though they change it, even though they try to scrub it, and even there's a way to back scrub when you go into Wayback and all of that to scrub it, unfortunately, there's bots who crawl these things and they send out to different publications. Sometimes you have to find them from another country and all of that. So one of the places that they did not scrub the original article was on MSN.
Now, if this is true, it raises a major question. What exactly is she trying to hide?
About the documents in just 5 minutes, I just want to quickly just give you guys an update on the subpoenas, because on Friday night, on Valentine's night, I had shared over on my TikTok, and a lot of creators had talked about how Blake Lively's team had asked for this crazy subpoena that sounded insane, right? Where 2.5 years of every single document, right? Like every single text message, browsing history of all of Justin Baldoni and all of Wayfarer's, things, right? All of their browsing history, text messages, locations, everything. And they were subpoenaing AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, Cloudflare, AOL. In the middle of that, people were like, that is wild, including myself, because Brian Friedman and his team, Blake Baldoni's team, came back and said, this is not a criminal case. This is a wild, wild request.
Blake Lively accuses of being instrumental in this retaliation smear campaign against her. Now, Gavrnsky also emphasized that this case involves what could basically be considered trade secrets. There are marketing plans, there are business strategies, there are client lists from public relations agencies, which could give competitors in the PR industry an unfair advantage if that information is disclosed. And she even expressed concerns about the potential leak of, quote, specific security measures Miss Lively and Mr. Reynolds have taken to protect themselves and their families from this retaliatory campaign, because we know that this story has certainly circulated in the past few months. People have very strong opinions and passions when it comes to Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds and Justin Baldoni.
Even fellow celebrities are weighing in. Sources say that actors like Ryan Reynolds, Blake's husband, are feeling the pressure, while others in Hollywood are keeping a close eye on how this unfolds. One anonymous A-list actor reportedly told TMZ, "This isn't the first time a celeb has tried to erase their past. Hollywood is built on cover-ups. Could this be just another case of a carefully curated image falling apart? Or is there something bigger at play here?"
Justin has brought forward the text messages that Blake said were from his people, proving that they had been altered. So we don't know if New York Times altered them or if Blake Lively's team or her herself altered these text messages to make Justin look more guilty of what she was trying to accuse him of.
Okay, here's where things get even more twisted. The source of the leak, this mysterious former PR employee, isn't just dropping random accusations. They've allegedly handed over proof to a few key journalists and influencers, and let's just say, people are talking.
Last week, Lively's lawyers Ezra Hudson and Michael Gottlieb, I hope I'm pronouncing their names right, told reporters that they had served subpoenas on various phone companies. In the process, they said Miss Lively has initiated a discovery that will expose the people, tactics, and methods that have worked to destroy and bury her reputation and family over the past year. And they said, we will now receive all of the receipts, quote unquote, that unsurprisingly are nowhere to be found on Mr. Friedman's website. And like Miss Lively, those receipts, quote unquote, will have their day in court. In response, however, Baldoni's lawyer, Brian Friedman, countered that they are asking for every single call, text, data log, and even real-time location information for the past 2.5 years, regardless of the sender, recipient, or subject matter. This massive phishing expedition demonstrates that they are desperately seeking any factual basis for their provably false claims. They will find none.
Some insiders believe that this leak isn't just about exposing Blake, but a larger takedown effort targeting her and her Hollywood connections. Others argue that the whistleblower is simply someone fed up with the corruption they witnessed behind closed doors.
Lawyers squared off about whether or not private text messages from the A-list couple, Lively and Reynolds, should be shielded from public view. This is all amid fears that they could be leaked to the tabloids. And during the hearing, the couple's attorney, Meryl Gavrnsky, argued passionately for an extra layer of security to keep sensitive information under wraps. And this is all connected to a proposal for a protective order that Lively's team had filed back on February 20th. And this is the reason the parties met in court today. Now, protective orders, generally speaking, they do a bunch of things, but generally they govern the disclosure of certain information in the case. And so today in court, as well as in the proposal for the protective order, Lively's team was requesting a designation called attorney's eyes only for certain materials. And this includes private text messages with other high-profile individuals, details about the couple's mental health, security measures they've taken during this ongoing feud. And Lively's attorneys are saying, look, we don't want anyone other than attorneys to have access to this information.
And here's an interesting twist. Some reports claim that rival PR firms are involved in making sure this scandal doesn't go away anytime soon. Could this be a case of Hollywood politics at play? Celebrity journalist Elaine Liu from Laney Gossip speculated Blake Lively has built an image of being scandal-free. But in this industry, no one's hands are ever truly clean. This leak could be the start of something much bigger. And if that's not enough, sources close to several media outlets claim that Blake's team is already working overtime to control the narrative, making hush-hush calls to key figures in the press. But in the age of social media, can anyone really silence a scandal?
I don't believe he sexually harassed her. I don't think the sexy voicemail was him having a sexy voice, returning a text that she left at 1:42, in which he was really trying to placate her. I think his efforts were really earnest to put a great movie together. I think he was completely shocked when she went forward with these sexual harassment things. All the joking and all the things that have come since this supposed incident makes me not believe Ryan Reynolds or her. I think they are. Ryan and Blake, I think, are completely two peas in a pod. I think they're a match made in heaven. I think they, I do think they'll probably stay together forever. I was like, the only way out of it is if she turns it on Ryan, and it's like, he forced me to do this lawsuit. But they're not doing that, so I think they're going to stick together forever.
As expected, Hollywood is split on this controversy. On one side, some of Blake's celebrity friends, including close pals like Taylor Swift and Anna Kendrick, are reportedly standing by her. An insider from Taylor's camp reportedly said, Blake has always been a class act. She's not the kind of person to be involved in something like this. Even co-stars like Leighton Meester have stayed silent, sparking speculation about whether they're waiting to see how the drama unfolds.
They both were not in relationships. When they did get together, it was after the filming of Green Lantern, and everything was good. But I think what made everything more complicated was there was a rumor due to a tweet that was sent out by a reporter. So that's kind of the odd thing here.
Smoking gun, if you will. This is what it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it appears that somebody may not be completely honest and forthright with the text message evidence they have. We're going to look at that key text message in the Stephanie Jones complaint first, and then we'll look at the context in Blake Lively's amended complaint with the same message. It certainly seems like somebody may not be telling the truth, and that very well may be Blake Lively. Abel and Nathan's conspiracy to take down Jones was virulent and effective, which they themselves recognized was fueled by society's natural willingness to tear down successful women, and they capitalized on this for their own gain. The text from Melissa Nathan to Jennifer Abel here says, "It's actually sad because it just shows you have people really want to hate on women."
But on the other side, critics are calling for accountability, and not everyone is convinced. Some industry veterans, including outspoken stars like Jamila Jamil and even Chrissy Teigen, have hinted at the need for more transparency in Hollywood. One unnamed director reportedly told The Hollywood Reporter, if Blake has nothing to hide, then why is her PR team allegedly going to such extreme lengths? With more and more celebrities being asked about this, the pressure on Blake is only increasing. Let's step back for a second, because this isn't just about Blake Lively.
The fallout here in Hollywood continues today after this 80-page lawsuit exposed the ugly underbelly of the Hollywood machine, alleged wrongdoing on set, as well as the puppet masters behind the scenes who work to shape public opinion. Over the weekend, the actress Blake Lively filed this sexual harassment lawsuit against her co-star from the film It Ends With Us, Justin Baldoni. But it's not just the sexual harassment. She also claims that the actor conspired with a PR crisis team to bring her down after she raised those complaints. And in the lawsuit, there are private text messages and emails which do appear to show plans for negative stories to be planted in the press about Lively, as well as plots to flood social media and also to, quote, bury the actress.
This scandal exposes a bigger issue: how Hollywood operates behind the scenes. We've seen it with other celebrities, how PR teams work overtime to protect powerful figures, even at the cost of truth and justice.
Certainly a well-annotated complaint in the sense that they're quoting from actual text, which gives it some facial credibility. So when you have emails like that, when you have audio tapes, where you have videotapes, they are very persuasive to a jury. So those are hard to explain away after the fact. That's why, oftentimes you tell clients, don't put things in writing.
Think about past scandals that seem to disappear overnight, from Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's messy trial to Ellen DeGeneres' PR nightmare. Hollywood has mastered the art of damage control. So the real question is, are we finally at a point where cover-ups won't work anymore? Social media is making it harder for celebrities to hide behind well-crafted press statements. And if Blake's team really is scrubbing evidence, it might only make things worse.
All the while, Baldoni was on the press tour for this film, speaking about the importance of respecting women as one of the movie's key themes. Now it is not looking good for Baldoni. He's split with his management team. The author who wrote the book the movie was based on has come out and said she is Team Blake, and there are a lot of people who thought one thing when all these negative stories were out about Blake Lively who've now changed their opinions. Baldoni, for his part, denies these claims. He denies any wrongdoing. His lawyers say that this is just a, quote, another desperate attempt from Blake Lively to restore her negative reputation. Ouch, certainly nasty, it is messy, but it does shine a light on what happens behind the scenes here in Hollywood.
So what do you think? Is Blake Lively truly involved in something sinister, or is this just another attempt to take down a beloved Hollywood star? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear your theories. Are the leaks real, or is this all a PR war?